Everybody, and welcome to Maximum Libertarian. I'm Brian, and we're here today to talk about something near and dear to my heart, and it might be near and dear to your heart. It's about the draft. And is it coming back? Maybe. But before we get into the Military Times article, I want you to go right down below, click that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, like and share this video with all your family and friends. But now, before we get into that article, let's just look at the libertarian platform on what we think the draft is all about. This is from LP.org. Libertarians believe that war is justified only in defense. We are opposed to a draft. If a war is just and necessary, Americans of all backgrounds will volunteer to fight it. We believe that a draft enforced by law is no different from slavery. From the militarytimes.com, an all-volunteer force cannot meet Pentagon's future needs, advocates warn. The 5th annual All-Volunteer Force Conference, looking at the state of the volunteer force since its inception in 1973 and whether conscription should be reinstated to meet the needs of the modern military, came amid likely the most attention the issue has seen in recent years. In February, a petition was filed with the U.S. Supreme Court challenges the constitutionality of a military draft that doesn't include women. And the testimony in early March by members of the National Commission on Public Service to Congress supported, advocated making women register for the draft, but not instituting conscription. Congratulations, women. You got what you wanted. Now you can march off to the endless wars and be part of the fun, I guess. But the reason that this group at the forum who support reinstating the draft, they say that the reason they want it is because of the unsustainable recruiting methods to fill the ranks, a civil military disconnect in service that allows for military adventurism, but because we have these endless wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, that's having an issue. We also have an issue with the diversity, race, gender, socioeconomic. And because we are having the issues with them groups, we're not able to really get into the talent pool here and get the most qualified soldier or sailor out there. One of the ideas that was brought up was by former Marine Corps veteran and author Elliot Ackerman, and he said that we should only do 5 to 10% of the force from the top 10% income bracket, tax income bracket, because with that idea, they're going to be more inclined to limit the military involvement if their own children will face being deployed and going off to these endless wars. Another idea that was brought up by a retired Army major was an individual can do a 2 years on active duty, or they can do 6 years in the reserve unit. And if that person who was in the reserve unit goes overseas, well, and it equals out to 2 years, then they've done their time here in the draft. Understand, I'm completely against the military draft. I don't think it's a good idea. I did my 6 years and I volunteered to go in. And I saw the individuals that volunteered, and some of them didn't even want to be there after they've done the volunteering. So I can just imagine what the individual who gets forced in there would look like. But this one individual in this article, he brings up a really good point that I've never really thought of. But once I read it, you're seeing it around the world today. William Taylor, professor from Angelo State University, he was on the panel when they were trying to get rid of the draft during the Vietnam War. And he says some of the concerns still remain the same today. He noted to the commission that a volunteer force would become isolated from society. That isolation would erode respect for the military and the quality of the recruits. The volunteer force would not accurately represent the racial or economic diversity of a society, and a volunteer force would spell a decline in patriotism and popular concern about foreign policy. That one line there, talking about patriotism being at an all-time low, we're going to lose it. Well, when I look around, I see a lot of people walking down the street, burning buildings, doing different things, and they got upside down flags. They're burning the American flag in the street, which, look, that don't bother me as bad, but they're tearing down the system that's protected a lot of people and have made this the greatest country of all time. And I'll debate that with anybody and everybody, my friends. But we're letting it go away. And in that turn, that one line made me go, okay, I understand the idea of the draft. Not enough for me to say that I'm still on board with it. But in 1973, when they were transitioning from the draft to an all-volunteer force, excluding the Coast Guard, we had 1.9 million men and women serving. That equated to about 1%. Today, and this article came from July 13th, 2020, we have 1.3 million men and women serving. And that equates to a half of 1% in the military today. Retired U.S. Special Force professional and retired MMA fighter Tim Kennedy, he was on the Joe Rogan podcast a few years ago, and he spoke about the issues the military was having at that time about recruiting for the special forces. He has a couple ideas that he thinks would work to help with the recruitment now. Now, when Tim Kennedy was on the Joe Rogan Experience a couple years ago, he said that one of the issues that they had when they brought people in to go special forces was they weren't physically fit to even make it into the military, let alone do the special forces requirements. You top that with ailments such as being diabetic, maybe smoking marijuana, having bad eyes, or doing some other type of drug that you did while you were younger, that disqualifies you from being in the military, but you're able to go to college. Okay? So, right off the bat, the physical ailments, the physical fitness, that knocks 71% of young adults off right there. Then you've got to get the willingness to get the individuals to come over and join the military. And that has around, you have a 29% pool to reach from. And that's going to be really hard because for the military to meet its standards each year, it needs to recruit 182,000 new individuals to make sure that all jobs are filled inside the military. So one of the things that Tim Kennedy suggests to do is not so much focus on everybody to join the military. He said you look for the healthy, physically fit individuals, and that's who you will go after. That's who they should go after. I don't know if I agree with it, but I understand what he's saying. Because he said back in his wrestling days, he was approached by the Army Special Forces, and that is how he got hooked up to joining the Army and going into becoming a Green Beret. Now, Phil Carter, he said that the draft's probably not going to solve anything. There's no evidence it would do any better now than it did during the Vietnam era. He said, I don't think we could do it very well today and will likely replicate most of the representative issues. Then you have retired Army Colonel Larry Wilkerson. He laid out reasons he thinks that the current volunteer force isn't up to future challenges with the Iran, Russia, China, nuclear proliferation, and the climate change on the forefront. But there's always hope, hopefully. But in the end of the day, Latch reiterated that the current enlistment bonuses and pool of the population less qualified to serve and less willing to serve, which has been shown in national surveys and studies, means that the volunteer forces may become simply unsustainable. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. They're talking about bringing back the draft. You know, I really don't know how do you recruit more people into the military. But I tell you one thing that I would do. Number one, I would start bringing the boys and girls back home. I would end the endless wars. And then if we are over in Afghanistan, Iraq, Somalia, or wherever else they want to send them, they ought to have a clear objective, how to win. You get in and you get out. And you try not to harm the innocent that's over there. And I know that's extremely hard during war times. But we call that blowback when we go over there and we start dropping bombs on the wrong people. We create the enemy just by doing that. And most people, just like when I was in the service, everybody from Turkey, Spain, Italy, most people, we all just want to be happy, laugh, joke. You know what I'm saying? So let's do that, my friends. Let's try to get leaders in that aren't going to send our men and women overseas to endless wars, and let's just be happy. You know what I'm saying? So until tomorrow, my friends, I'm Brian for Maximum Libertarian, and I will see you later. So remember, everybody, go to our other social media sites. On Twitter, we are MaxLib. And remember to sign up for our weekly podcast. You can find us on Podbean, iTunes, Google Play, or any other places you get your podcast. And if you haven't already, please subscribe and click that notification bell.